Welcome to Enlightening the Mind, a weekly talk show that reaches out to the independent, free-minded thinker who doesn't just go for what they've been told or led to believe. Rather, they choose to use their own minds and concepts to help them solve issues that affect and shape how we live our lives today. And now, without further ado, please welcome in the host of Enlightening the Mind, Mr. Stacey Harris.
As I start this show this afternoon, I'm perplexed by an article that I read which says an increasing number of politicians and celebrities are openly declaring that if the economic crisis continues in this country, it could lead to civil unrest, more crime, and outbreaks of violence all over America. Now, this may sound to be harsh, but it could be true. This is extremely unfortunate. The truth is that violence is not the solution to every problem. Violence is only going to make things worse. But right now, a big name warning that significant changes should be made, or less this crisis is going to go global. Who may that be that's talking about this? It is your Vice President, Joe Biden, who says there will be an increase in murders, rapes, and crime if the economic crisis in this country isn't aborted. Now, to talk about this, I'm going to bring on my panel, which I like to ask them this one question. Do they think that the economic crisis in this country could lead to rapes, privilege, and violence? I'm going to bring in Chris, Mr. Johnson, my co-host, to answer that question to start us off. Chris, do you think that there's going to be an increase in rapes if the government doesn't send money to help the economic crisis?
Absolutely, Stacey. Actually, you're seeing the increase now before they actually can do anything about the economic crisis. This is something that's going to happen globally. It actually reminds me of that sci-fi movie Judge Dredd, if you remember, how they actually had block wars in the movie. All the citizens were going crazy and about to run their police out of the entire citizen zone. That could very well happen, and I can see that this could actually be an act that will bring about martial law is the first thing that I think about. But for anybody in the government or anybody with any common sense to actually say that violence is not the key, Stacey, our government does it every time when they try to overrun other governments overseas in other countries. When they want to change their policies and their laws and their governmental leaders, what do they resort to? They resort to violence and war, because they know truthfully that war, aside anything else, brings quicker results than actual talking and protesting.
Well,
disagree?
Well, I agree with you, but I do want to make this point that, many of our cities are rapidly being transformed into hellholes where crime is rising dramatically. But instead of fixing the problem, the vice president said that we should just throw money at it, or should I use a better term? He said we should use federal money to fix these problems. Do you think?
Do you really think that money is the resolution for all our problems, for everything? I like a comment made by Roseanne Barr in that article. She said she would like to allow the guilty bankers to pay, the ability to pay back everything over $100 million. And she's saying that a person should be able to survive off $100 million and anything over that amount, because she believes in a particular maximum wage should be $100 million. And anything over that amount, people should actually pay that back into our government. And that's actually something that I believe was reflected on by one of the candidates that was actually in the debate.
Well, let me, and I agree with you, and I think that what she's basically saying is that if all of these people, these rich billionaires can't live off $100 million or whatever, that they should be, I guess they should basically be thralled or something like that, because it doesn't take that much to live off of them. I want to bring in Jeff. And, Jeff, I want to ask you this question here. Listening to what we've been talking about, what are your feelings? Do you think that the government should step in and throw money at the situation, or should they hire more cops, or what exactly should they do?
Well, I believe that's a complicated question to answer. I do believe in this. Money given to the people, widespread throughout the country, will bring some relief to the people. I do believe in that. But we as the people, we're already walking on eggshells and pins and needles, just trying to survive paycheck to paycheck. So I believe any diminished circumstances or worst-case scenario circumstances are going to make things worse, and it's going to automatically cause widespread crime and chaos. Now, you guys made a comment about money and violence. I believe in this. Money and violence go hand in hand in this way. Money and violence produces results faster than anything known to man. You take violence to conquer, and you have the money to rebuild. That produces awesome results. Look how this country was founded. This country was founded by violence. And now this country condemns violence. But it was founded.
Well, Jeff, what I would like to understand, why would people resort to raping, though? I mean, that's a perverted level of...
Now, to me, that's a sad case. To me, somebody resorts to raping during economic crisis. There should be no trial. Trial should be held on the streets. One bullet, one brain.
Hold on, Jeff. Hold on. Now, let me say this. I mean, let's look at the whole thing from a big, broad picture, and I'm going to bring in our spiritual advisor on this, Mr. Ito. But let me answer this question for you and Chris. You guys talk about rape. Well, I look at it this way. I don't think that, you can take rape out of the situation, because why do people do sex nowadays anyway? We're not doing sex to reproduce. We're doing sex for pleasure, just like people do drugs. I mean, drugs were first originally created as a medication for the body when you were going through something, but now we've made it recreational. So, yes, I do see that sex, whether it be violent or whether it be coerce or whatever, is brought into the picture. Let me bring the minister in on this, or shall I say our spiritual advisor on this, Mr. Ital. Mr. Ital, what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel that the rapes are going to increase, or are you like Mr. Jeff? Do you feel that money and power and corruption go hand in hand? What are your thoughts on that, sir?
Well, first off, greetings and salutations of peace. Nice to be back with you this afternoon.
Yes, sir.
We see you got a little coughing going on. You've been pretty ill. Are you under the weather, Brother Ito?
Well, I'm slowly fighting it off. Like it's like water off of a duck's back. I'm slowly fighting it off. But I was a little boy in the '60s. I remember 1969 Woodstock, and being at that age, I started preparing for these things that's happening now in the early 80s. And there was a song that came out by Stevie Wonder called it was called Master Blaster Jammin'. And it sort of like guided me along. It had some words that said, "Let our worries like a breeze through our fingers slip away." And that's the way I feel about all this rioting and stuff. You had Martin Luther King, them back in the day, they was fighting for this and fighting for that. And so all this thing is like programmed, and you're going to have all this wars and fighting and marching and anarchy. I say no to all that, like Stevie said, let all our worries like a breeze through our fingers slip away, because this is just an illusion. You see, this is just an illusion to get out there and fight because you got this. The government says, okay, there's a crisis, we don't have any money, this and that is happening. People start rioting, fighting, raping, and pillaging. No, that's the wrong way to go. We got to just be still and sit down and observe and know what's really taking place. Then we can go out and fight. But I think no to all that stuff. And if it is more raping and pillaging, it's just total insanity, and I think that's what they want.
Well, Mr. Ito, let me ask you this, because I do know that you said that, and I do appreciate that. I understand. I do know that song that Mr. Stevie Wonder put out. I think he's one of the greatest musicians of all time, in my opinion. But I do want to say this. I do want to contradict you, or, ask you this question to go along with it. Okay. There can never be peace without a revolution. You can never have change without some type of
evolution.
Of
See,
movement.
It's evolution. It's not really like revolution. See, everything turns anyway, revolution. But we got to evolve, raise our consciousness high. Evolution. So if there was an evolution, there would be automatic revolution.
Okay, but then again, you're dealing with forces, and with all due respect, we're dealing with forces who are not going to just sit there and let us get on our knees and pray for the change. Even back in the biblical days, even back in the biblical times, everybody had to fight. Solomon, one of his greatest quotes was, "My father David killed thousands, I killed hundreds of thousands." So you have to look at it. We have to take back our country. You don't agree?
Well, they say like watch, fight, and pray, but I'll stick to evolution. I say if we look within, if there were no wars within, there wouldn't be any wars without. We just got to clean our minds. We got to clean our blood. Just raise our consciousness higher. If there were no wars within, there would be no wars without. That's what we got to get to in this world. So I'll give Martin Luther King and Gandhi and all those guys, John Lennon, give all them a hand. Give peace a chance.
If I can, let me give you a more precise answer to your question.
Okay.
I believe rape will increase dramatically in this country because we, human beings, we all have this animal instinct about ourselves. And it's like we're waiting for something to happen or go down for us to carry out these animal ways. We're looking for a crime or a storm to commit looting and robbing people. We wait for a disaster to happen to rape people. So I do believe rape will occur more often. Look what happened to Katrina. Here it is, a city got destroyed, and can you believe instead of people worrying about surviving and getting by every day in food and water, having clean food and clean water and healthy food, they worrying about raping women. During a disaster, we worrying about raping women. So I do believe it's a sad animal instinct we have about ourselves. We're just waiting to carry out this animal instinct under disaster.
It seemed like they were just waiting. You're right, Jeff. It seemed like they were just waiting on an opportunity to really just act crazy and let the minds just
act crazy. Exactly, cut a fool. Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask you guys.
It's totally a lack of intelligence in all aspects, a lack of morality and human morals altogether.
Well, Democratic
it boils down to the fact that we chase money and we put so much value on money that we've taken value away from family. We've taken value away from the basic ethics, such as we don't rape and we don't pillage.
Well, Sarah, I mean, but you have to look at it this way here, and this goes back to, I guess, the root of the problem, or the crux of the problem in my mindset, that it's still the people's fault because we have allowed money to dictate how we're going to live. So you're saying that people want to use money and that they want to fight for money and whatever, but a Democratic strategist, James Carville, recently made national headlines when he told talk show host Don Imus that civil unrest is imminently possible. And I want to ask this to the whole entire panel. Do you guys think that civil unrest is possible in this country, and what are we going to do about it if it actually hits? I'm going to start with you, Jeff. Give me your thoughts and answers on that.
Civil unrest is imminent. It's coming. It's already showing its preliminary phases. People disgruntled, people committing small forms of robbing, looting, committing crimes. Yeah, it's going to get worse as people become more desperate as a whole. And the bigger the monster gets, the bigger the monster punch becomes. And that's what's going to happen in this country. We are the people. We are the biggest monster in this country. The government is what fraction of the population percentage? We are the monster, but we're just for some kind of way through intelligent, strategical planning by the government, we are being suppressed and held quiet. But if we do become a sleeping giant due to this, an awakened sleeping giant due to this economic crisis, this giant is going to wake up and come with a hell of a punch. And unfortunately, here comes that revolution y'all talked about that will finally one day bring about peace. No peaceful occurrence ever occurs without revolution, first of all. So, yeah, it's coming. It's definitely coming on a big scale, sadly, but yeah.
Chris, quickly, before we take a break, what are your thoughts on that?
I believe that the government is going to take advantage of the opportunity to actually pump this up even more. They're going to back it and make this bigger than what it is. They're going to put it all over the media and make the people feel like they actually have some sort of hope in this entire movement of everybody just going crazy. I think that the government is going to put their power behind it so that they can simply implement the military to step right in here and take total control of the people.
You made a good point about false hope. Look what they do. Yeah, Chris, you made a good point about false hope. Look what they just did with the Social Security. They raised it 3-point-something%, which equates to about $38 a month if you make around $1,100 a month, or if you receive $1,100 a month on Social Security, you got a 3-point-something% raise, $38 a month. What is that? But that's that fake hope, that facade of hope and good times to come. So you're right. That frustrates the intelligent people but it awakens small people to say, hey, you know what? We're not going to get nothing. I'm tired of begging and I'm tired of begging and pleading. You know what? It's time to fight. It's time to do something about this. And that's where that big monster comes with the big punch.
And you're right on that. And on that note, we're going to take a break. I definitely believe that we should change our way of thinking and get ready for the fight. We also should do like the minister, or shall I say our spiritual advisor, Mr. Ital, did said, we should gather ourselves and pray before the time comes. We're going to take a break, but when we come back from break, I want to talk about the Republican debate that happened last night. And I want to ask my panel this question, and for them to reference. Do you all think that there's a need for these debates? And my other question to you all, which is going to be surprising, do you actually think that we need a president to run this country? And do you all think that that person, the president, is really in charge and makes all the decisions? We'll discuss that on the other side of the break. You're listening to Enlightening the Mind.
Hi, I'm Terry Gillis, and you're listening to Enlightening the Mind, part of the Truth Seekers Network. If you like what you're hearing and would like to become a part of the movement, log on to enlighteningthemind.com for more details on how to join. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/enlighteningthemindradio and on Twitter at twitter.com/enlightenmind. There you can get updates and information on how to stay informed on the current events and topics shaping our world today, and also find out how you can do your part to help spread the message of enlightenment to others.
Hi, I'm Christopher Johnson Jr. You're listening to Enlighten the Mind Radio, part of the Truth Seekers Network on blogtalkradio.com.
We're back with Enlightening the Mind. I'm your host, Stacey Harris. And what's happening in your news today? Last night we had the presidential debate, and I don't know how many of you guys actually listened to it or watched the debate, but to give you guys a little bit of the rundown, it seemed to me that they were doing more bickering and bantering back and forth and trying to get sympathy or people on their sides than actually discussing the issues that actually mean something to this country. And I want to ask our panel this. In recapping those debates, do you guys think that there is really a need for these debates? And what are they going to accomplish? I want to start off with our spiritual advisor, Mr. Ital, because he has a lot of sense on this matter, and he actually can kind of get us some answers that we need. Mr. Ital, Brother Ital, do you think that there's a need for these debates?
It's all wagged out. It's all wagged out, bro. It's all wagged out. You know, it's like we're talking about revolution, and I just want to say this briefly. There hadn't been a revolution since Nat Turner, and then John Muhammad and Malvo showed them back there in 2003. Just two men can hold down the whole beltway. So it is possible, but I don't think that it's happening. I don't think it's going to happen because the people are asleep. And the so-called revolution is happening. It's like pulled by puppet strings. But the debate, yeah, it's all good. It's all symbolic also. Like in 1988, I call it a very great debate. Jesse Jackson and Dukakis, and the media pundit, they say like 2 won a brawl, and then we had this ritual going on. 2 won a brawl. He was raped by 6 white men. So you got all this Illuminati thing going on. So it's just,
Brother Ital, let me ask you this.
Always
Brother Ital, let me ask you this question, because in hearing you speak, I get the feeling that you basically say, hey, what are we worrying about? Why are we fighting anyway? It's all over. It's all done in the first place.
I mean, it don't make no sense because it's a script. It's a script. So we got to understand the script. Expound. Well, that's what I'm saying. Okay, look. Okay, first of all, just on a very simple level, the Bible.
Okay.
99% of people go by that. So that book is one of the most important books there is. So the people that rule the country, they go by something similar to that's been written out for about 6,000 years now, and they go by that. So if we knew what that was, then we wouldn't be making no fuss because, like I said before, God and the devil is actually on the same. It's like 2 different sides of the same coin, and you can't get mad with the government because God is controlling the government, And so you just have to just observe and wait and see. So when your time to step up to bat, step up.
Are you saying that God actually wants this to happen, that he isn't for the people?
It's not a matter of him wanting it to happen. We got to understand what God is. You know, basically God dwells within me as me, dwells within you as you. But this thing that we call God is not really God. I mean, there's a script that we're going by. So we got to understand the script. Then we can make our moves when it's time. But nothing happens until it's time. Nothing. So that's where we got to get to as beings on orb ship Earth, is get to that level where we can sit down and say, okay, this is happening tomorrow, so I'll go put on my black shoes. You know, I'll be in harmony with what's taking place. But what's happening is going to happen. You can't stop it.
Chris, let me go to Sarah. Sarah, let me bring you in right quick. And listening to what the minister said, the spiritual advisor said, do you agree with what he says, and do you have any thoughts about that? And also, do you really think that these debates are going to make a difference in this country, or is there any hope? Go ahead, Sarah.
Well, I think I'm in agreement with you that everything started for the right reasons and began as something good, but I have to completely agree with Brother Ito. He says the truth. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and
so
the
wait a minute,
debates
Sarah.
are basically a show.
So why don't we all just die? So basically you're saying we all should just lay down and do what we're going to do because it's already done. Is that what y'all saying? Are you guys saying don't fight?
No, it's not like no, I don't think it's quite to that extreme. I don't think that we can step back and just not accept responsibility for ourselves.
Well, how can you accept responsibility, Sarah, when you and Brother Ito said that it's a script? Okay, I'm a writer. I write books. I actually write scripts. Matter of fact, I have one that I'm working on now. In my script, everything is dictated. I decide everything that goes down. Nobody does nothing without me. Okay, so you guys are saying that we are like that now. If that is the case, then why fight? I mean, why don't we just lay down and do what we do? Let me go to, well, you can respond to that if you want, but I want to know the answer from you guys. So we just should quit. Go ahead, Sarah.
No, I'm not saying we should quit, and I don't think that anything is written out in black and white. I'm not saying it's a script, but, yeah, a lot of it's for show because I don't know that every vote makes a difference. I mean, I'm looking at Florida, and I have to confess I worked for the government long enough, for the census long enough to know that if they weren't happy with the numbers, that they would just rewrite and then send us back out to count until we came up with numbers they liked. So I have to question myself whether or not, voting makes a difference, whether or not what we're saying is going to matter in the long run to the people in office, or if it's all just for show, the way some people say. I don't have the answers, but I definitely have a lot of questions.
Terry?
I need you guys to get on this presidential election debate, these candidate debates, because I'm ready to jump in this. Y'all
go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
We're ready.
But, Jeff, go ahead.
I'm excited. I'm sitting anticipated, like, they need to come on and bring it. Anyway, I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat. I think these debates is a joke. It's a circus. These guys, media and these candidates, Republican or Democrat, they are all hand in hand together. You cannot tell me that these Republicans sit here and debate with each other on national TV about all these issues like they don't have a clue of how this country is really ran, who's really in charge. The president, regardless of what party he's on, he's not a puppet. These guys have to know that any president, Republican or Democrat, is a puppet. And they have these debates.
Jeff, hold on, Jeff.
This is where I can jump in and I can say that that's the point. If it's political, it's political. Until we step outside of the political stance that created the mess, we're not going to fix the mess.
Well, Jeff, let me ask you this, Jeff. So you basically said something that's going to shock our listeners. You're basically saying that our president is not in charge of the country. Are you really kidding me? No, wait a minute. Are you telling me?
No, he's not. No, he's not. I love the man. I wish him the best. But he can't tell me himself either, as smart as he is, that he has no clue. Now, I'm a nobody. I'm a peon in this country, in this world. You telling me I have more awareness of how this country is ran and this system than the president? Oh no, you cannot.
Wait a minute, now Jeff, I'm gonna have to jump on you right here and say, so all these people going out here, why they telling us to go out here and vote? Why they telling us that we can make a difference?
We cannot. That is a front. That is a distraction. That is a tactic to fool us, to make us think we have say so. People have to understand the Electoral College. As long as there is an Electoral College, our vote will never count.
Who is the Electoral College?
Will never count.
Who is the Electoral College? You say the Electoral College. Who are these members of the Electoral College?
The Electoral College consists of a wide variety of high clientele elite. People of the alumni, the universities in this country, the lobbyists in this country. It's a group of entities combined that works with Congress, the Constitution, the way this law applies to the country, and people have to buy to it. So if we, all Americans, if 60% of American adults vote in this country for a particular candidate, he will not win. The Electoral College dictates who wins. And who do you think backs the Electoral College? All this number and voting, that's to monitor where the people's mind is, what their desires are, what their interest is, who they're feeling for. It's just to monitor us, monitor our thoughts and decisions.
That guy Jeffrey done lost his mind, but he brought some good points out. He done shot my dream down. I actually believe that one man. Hold on, I actually believe that one man ran this whole country. I was just as dumb as the public to believe that one individual that doesn't know nobody controls this whole thing, and I got upset when So basically, this guy here is telling me that my Superman, my hero, Jesus in the flesh, as they like to call any president.
Obama is special. I think Obama is special. I think he might be the only one. I think him and Kennedy is on the same vibe.
Wait a minute. No, I don't think. Go ahead, Jeff.
Obama came into a system that was in full play, in full force, long before he was conceived, long before his Kenyan father and his Caucasian mother was conceived.
I think he's a Messiah.
This system has had a strong.
I think he's a Messiah.
Jeff, let me jump in here, Jeff.
No, I saw. What are you taking for your call? No, Obama Messiah. No, sir. What I saw. What you taking for your call? So you're telling me Obama has less knowledge than this panel about how this country is ran? No, I think this man knows how it's ran. He's just in it for some type of gain, or he's supporting some type of group that's backing him. I don't know. I love him. I wish him the best.
He's the Messiah. He's the one to make a change.
Don't
even prescribe your cough medicine, brother.
Hold on. Let me ask the brother Ital this.
I got to know.
Let me ask the brother Ital here. Let me ask the brother Ital.
It shows the World Series is going on tonight.
Hold on,
about this.
Brother Ital. Let me ask you, brother Ital. Okay, so you say that Barack Obama is some type of Messiah. To me, the best I can give you about Barack Obama is that he's an Uncle Tom. He's playing. And I'm going to be honest with you on this right here.
Don't talk about Obama.
No other man. Wait a minute. No other man would have been dumb enough to set himself up for failure, because this whole country, they looked for a scapegoat. Okay, and I'm not going to try to right here.
Trust me. See, this whole thing is symbolic. You know that saying, that Masonic saying that the stone that the builders refused has become the headstone of the corner. So it's all a Masonic, right?
Brother,
so
leave that
capstone has been put on the pyramid. The capstone has been put on the pyramid. The all-seeing eye is open. That's Obama. He's the Messiah. How do you think where he come from? How do you think he won?
Brother, I saw Smirnoff and NyQuil will never meet.
He won because they put him in place.
Smirnoff and NyQuil is a dangerous combination, brother. I love you, all due respect. But are you telling me, brother, that this panel has more knowledge of this country's system than the president does?
Obama's third eye is totally open. No, Obama knows what's going on. I mean, he's going by the script.
What is he trying to gain? If he's aware of this corrupt system that he knows he can't change, why is he going this route to become president, knowing his power is limited, knowing he's not going to change a force that is more powerful than he is?
I mean, whenever that people talk about full disclosure. Whenever it's time for full disclosure, Obama's in place, so that makes him the Messiah.
Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we're going to take a break and give Brother Nighthall check his microphone. If there's anything that I'm not hearing, we're also going to check his medication. When we come back,
I got to catch my flight. Y'all keep in mind, I got to catch my flight. I'll see y'all next week, all right?
All right, thank you.
Take it easy, man. Good flight.
I'll take care. I'll talk to y'all next week.
All right, next week.
Okay. Bye-bye.
We're going to take a break on that note, and we're going to get back and talk about money matters after we check Brother Nighthall's temperature. You're listening to Enlightening the Mind. He's the Messiah. Come on, man.
Obama.
Hi, I'm Terry Gillis, and you're listening to Enlightening the Mind, part of the Truth Seekers Network. You can catch us at twitter.com/enlightenminds and facebook.com/enlighteningthemindраdio. Check us out on our website, enlighteningthemind.com, for all the information and programs affiliated with our show. You can become a member. It's free to join. Become a part of the winning team that's spreading the message of true enlightenment to others. Our goal is to ultimately take back the earth from those who are deceiving us all and enlighten the world, and we can only do it one member at a time.
Yeah, you're back with Enlightening the Mind. We're going to talk about our money segment. But first, I want to clear up something that our spiritual advisor, Mr. Ital, brought to our attention, that Barack Obama is the Messiah. Well, Brother Ital, I'm not going to harp on this right here, and I guess everybody has their opinion, but I will like to say that we did check Brother Ital's temperature, and his temperature was up a little bit, but hopefully we got it under control now, and we can move on. Brother Ital, are you back with us? Did we get your temperature right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so everything's good with you right now? Yeah, everything's okay with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm doing my tap dancing. Tap dancing here, sir. It's all good.
Okay. All righty. Hey, let's get on a serious note, and I do want to talk about something that is very important to everyone, and that is their monetary situations. And as we all know, those monetary situations aren't good. 90% of the country has experienced some type of financial distress from the years between 2008 up until now. And I want to talk about something that came out in the debate last night. If you all know, Henry Cain recently criticized the Occupy Wall Street protesters, saying, don't blame Wall Street, don't blame the big banks if you don't have a job and you're not rich. Blame yourselves. Okay, I found that very strange. He said, blame yourselves if you don't have a job and if you're not rich. At Tuesday night's debate, his comments was applauded by loud cheers from the audience. And I want to step to our panel. You know, do you all, first and foremost, do you all think that he had a right to say to the American people that they should blame themselves if they don't have jobs and if they're not rich? Let me start with you, Chris. What are your thoughts on that?
I believe that Herman Cain is coming out saying what most people are thinking, is that people have become lazy and they want to place blame on anybody else and not look at themselves in the mirror. I think he's absolutely right in a sense where people need to be marching up to the stairways of the White House and not be blaming trying to place blame on the banks and Wall Street and whoever else they can find. The employers are shutting down, so I mean you can't blame them. You know, Wall Street don't know how to manage money, but what does that have to do with your success? What did that have to do with us preparing as a people before this recession even started? No one thought about saving or trying to better their career, try to get a better education, even try to run for president, such as what Obama has done, or try to get a very good city job or government job. So now that everything has come crashing down, now everybody is is worried in a situation where we have to protest out in the street or have to meditate with our third eye or pineal gland. Now we're saying, oh, it's somebody else's fault, and I totally disagree that it's not necessarily somebody else's fault. Yeah, they may have mismanaged some money and some business tactics, and their ethics are probably not right, and it may be all by design. But it is still up to the people to wake up and use their common sense and say, look, enough is enough. I'm going to do something for myself. I'm not going to wait for you, the next man.
Well, wait a minute, Chris. There's nothing that they can do. What can they do? And I want to bring in.
What can they do?
Exactly. I want to bring in Terry. Terry, and I do apologize to Terry. Terry, I know you're at a convention. You're out in Live Oak, Florida. Is that where you're doing your convention this evening?
Yeah, I'm at Live Oak. Yep, I'm in Live Oak doing a festival. It's Magnolia Fest.
Right. Down upon the Swanee River.
Yes, Swanee River.
Exactly. Are you having a good time?
Well, I just got here. They haven't really started the music yet, so things are starting to get going, but it's just the beginning stages. So.
And I do appreciate you taking the time out to come on to do your show. This is also your show as well, so we appreciate you being on. And I know you've been listening to our show. Let me bring you in on this right here. We were talking about the Henry Cain and what he said about don't blame the big banks that you don't have a job and you're not rich enough. Blame yourself. And I know you heard Mr. Johnson or heard Chris come on and say that he's telling the truth. How do you feel about it being a business owner? Was he right to say that to people that's out of work? Go ahead, Terry.
Well, kind of, sort of, some people are taking that excuse and not really trying as hard. They hear that there's no jobs out there, and they're really not putting forth, a lot of effort. But then on the other hand, there are a lot of people out there really trying to find jobs and are either overqualified or under, they just can't qualify for the particular job that's open. So, it's really hard to say. A lot of people are trying, but there are a lot of people that are using the excuse. So...
Now, let me cut in and say this right here. First of all, you brought up a good point. You say overqualified. I believe that is the dumbest word ever in the dictionary. How can you be overqualified to do work?
People use that as an excuse.
Exactly.
They use that as an excuse. And they say, well, you should be paid this much, so, we can't afford to hire you. Well, at this point, people are willing to take the cut and loss. Just give me some money. Give me some jobs,
Exactly.
Because then there's the ones that if you're out of work, they won't hire you because you're out of work. And it's like, hello, that's why I'm looking for a job.
Exactly.
That never made sense to me.
Sarah, what are your thoughts on that? Before I make my comments, because I have something to say about this, I want to hear our panel's thoughts on this. So, Sarah, I'm going down the line. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think Mr. Cain was right for saying don't blame the banks, blame yourselves that you're not rich and you don't have a job? What's your thoughts?
No, I'm going to go outside of fault and blame and say that we're all responsible for our own life condition, but we've all helped create the situation by feeding into the mentality that's creating the problem.
We absolutely.
For years thought that it was okay to progress the way that they told us it was okay to progress without thinking for ourselves that perhaps we were outliving our livelihoods and maybe overusing the earth resources to a degree that we would not have that to lean on in the future. It's like someone once said, well, that's what more is. There'll always be more, but the truth is there isn't always going to be more, and even money and earth will run out as we overpopulate without, as Brother Ital said, our third eye open.
Brother Ital, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think Henry Cain was right?
I think he's the epitome of America. He was totally arrogant, super arrogant.
Exactly.
So he'd be a perfect spokesman for the American people. Yes.
Now, let me come on. Excuse me. Let me give my thoughts on this right here. Okay, I heard the whole panel. So it seemed that you all are in agreement that he was right in his thinking. Well, I would say the minister, our spiritual advisor, says, that he was wrong, but he's right for America. Well, here's my take. I think he's the second biggest Uncle Tom, because what he's trying to do, and I'm being honest with you, and I'm not just throwing that around loosely, because that's one of the worst things you can call an African American man is an Uncle Tom, and that is what he and Barack Obama, the savior, is. They're both Uncle Toms, and let me explain why. Henry Cain, he should have never got on television and tell all of these men and women who are out there broke and that can't get jobs that it's their fault. First of all, Mr. Cain, they're not in charge of the businesses. Second of all, Mr. Cain, you can't be rich unless you are in the upper echelon. They're not going to let anybody just be rich, okay? Because first of all, if everybody was rich, there would be no rich people. There would be no waiters. There would be no waitresses. There would be no lower-class citizens. So they don't want that. So, Mr. Cain, for you to say that it's people's fault that they're not rich, you're dead wrong. For you to say that it's their fault they don't have jobs, you're dead wrong. Because like Terry stated, these people are out here trying to find jobs. These people have children. They have families.
So you're a total believer, though, that it is the people's fault, that the situation that people are in, though, correct?
Listen, it's the people's fault.
It's not necessarily their fault. They believe what they see, and what they see is on TV. It's in the papers every day.
Well,
they throw it down everybody's
throat
throat
that
it's broken, we're broken, and everything's bad, and you can't get a job, and so what are people left to do?
That's what everybody keeps saying, though. If you don't open your third eye, you got to see past all the programming. You have to see past what's eating.
Right.
And the reason why I say it's the people's fault, for the same reason that the ladies just said, you have to open your third eye. Like Terry said, we're believing the foolishness. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in this situation because we were naive and foolish. We were lazy. We allowed these people to take over. Chris, that is what I mean when I say it's our fault.
Right, well, I mean, couldn't Herman Cain mean that to a certain extent? When he says, well, it's individuals' fault, it's people's fault for the troubles that they're in, for the fact that not that they're unemployed or business are shut down to where there's not even enough jobs for them to apply to, but the fact that the country economic system is broken down. Okay,
well,
people are in need of money and food and happiness, and isn't it the people's responsibility to open their third eye and become aware of that situation, Stacey?
Well, they're not going to do that.
Is it the government's fault who are the bullies, the opposers of the people? You know,
Chris,
this is what I'm trying to get some clarity from you.
Chris, it's a little bit of both, and I heard your points. It's a little bit of both, but
I've always said it was a little bit of both.
But what I mean is, you're trying to attack. When I say it's the people's fault, it is the people's fault. Man, we can stand up and shut this down. Each week I come on and say the same thing. If you don't want to pay for the gas, don't pay for it. They're going to come down on the prices. Okay, so in that essence, it's the people's fault. But let's look at what Ron Paul, the reason why I call Henry Cain a joke and an Uncle Tom, and he has the perfect name, Cain, because he slew his brother Abel, which is us, the people. Ron Paul, he's on the same panel. He's trying to be president, but Ron Paul, in response, says he criticized Cain for blaming the people who have been hurt by the financial crisis through no fault of their own. All I'm saying is it is not the people's fault what they did with this money.
It's probably bad timing on Herman's part, okay? Bad timing, but did it not need to be said probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or 20 years ago? Probably so. I mean,
Chris,
this would have...
But he was wrong. Look, Chris, I'm going to let you respond. Chris, he was wrong. What he's saying is that we should be out here and we should be living the American dream and applying for jobs and going to schools and trying to get educations, which we're going to talk about in a second. And he's saying that's how we should attack. What should be done is we should abolish this whole system. This whole system is designed to be corrupt. He shouldn't have said this message 10, 20, 30, 40.
And this is where your people are waking up to that. This is probably, I mean, he probably didn't have the time or the chance to go into detail of why he's saying what he's alleging, what he's saying about the people's.
Well, then he shouldn't be a president, Chris.
I mean, he probably needs to expound on what exactly he's talking about.
Somebody
to what
needs
extent.
No, he needs to not say that foolishness.
The people, but in retrospect to what he said, the people are apparently waking up, because as you know, you have the Occupy movement out there that is spreading globally, And so these are people that are basically tired of Wall Street. They tired of they fighting for freedom, justice, and democracy.
Well, then, Chris,
and they
you're
want to
contradicting yourself.
Out of politics.
You're contradicting yourself because this guy who you're saying, you mentioned the Occupy, Henry Cain criticized the Occupy by saying, don't blame Wall Street, blame yourselves. So basically, Chris, Henry Cain is a joke. Henry Cain is a fool. Henry Cain is
Herman,
a puppet.
Herman Cain.
Henry. I call him Henry. That's just how much respect I have for the man. We're going to take another break. When we get back, we're going to get into what's actually happening in your world. And I want to ask the ladies this question before we go to break. Why is it so hard for today's parents to discipline their kids? Are you listening to Enlightening the Mind? We'll be back with you in a moment.
Hi, I'm Terry Gillis. You may know me from Enlightening the Mind Radio, but when I'm not working to enlighten and inform the minds of others, I am the owner and manager of Creative Oddities, unique gifts, handmade jewelry and art made one of a kind for the one on your mind. So if you want that special gift for you or someone special, log on to creativeoddities.net. There's sure to be a gift that will enlighten and inspire you.
Back with Enlightening the Mind. I'm your host, Stacey Harris, and we're having a unique discussion. And like I said, I want to get into the topic of what's happening in your world. There's a lot of strange things going on, but I do want to bring up one article very briefly before we get into that, and that has to do with the financial aid in this country. Now, Chris, before we went to break, you was defending Henry Cain, as I like to call him, and yes, I know his name is Herman, but he is Henry. Today, he's Henry. He's Uncle Tom Henry, or Thomas Cain, as you guys want to call him. But there is something that is seriously going on out here that I like to talk about, and that is student loans. And it says here that the student loan debt in America is about to exceed $1 trillion this year. Student debts will top $1 trillion this year for the first time in history. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, students took out more than $100 billion in loans in 2010 and will have $1 trillion in outstanding loans to pay back this year. That's twice the amount as 5 years ago. And it goes on to talk about the states that are having the most trouble with people paying back, because a lot of the kids are finna default: Arizona, Arkansas, Indiana, Iowa, Colorado, Oklahoma, Florida, Kentucky, Wyoming, and Texas. And I want to ask the panel this question right here. Okay, so Henry Cain came on, and he said, well, you know, I think that it's y'all faults that you're in a situation you're in. But, Mr. Cain, let's look at it from this perspective. First of all, in order for you to get the job and become rich, you have to have a college degree. But your college system is set up to where 90% of the people who graduate from college aren't even in the fields that they studied in. So I want to ask the panel this question. Are the student loans really worth it, or are they just a ripoff? Chris, I want to start with you. Go ahead.
Well, it's definitely a ripoff. It's a financial game that's being played. Honestly, in my opinion, I believe that college education ought to really be free for the people of the world, period. If you want, let's say if we were in competition with other countries, if you want the best out of our kids today in North America and the United States, then, I mean, I think education ought to be free. Maybe it should be based on GPAs or what have you, or contests, nice, kind contests, but nevertheless, everybody deserves equal opportunity in education, and this is what brings our society to be a sick society. When the truth be told, that the truth is not revealed in our education system, and everything is not being put into our educational system that needs to be put into it, based on money holding it back in different precincts of every city.
Well,
we found our next president.
We found our next president.
We found our next president.
Hey, Let me ask you this right here. Let me ask you guys this. Should it be legal for the government to charge high interest rates on these loans when they actually put you in a corner and say you can't get a job unless you get this education? Well, we're going to charge you so much for this education to where we're going to actually bankrupt you from when you get started. Yeah, I know if you guys seen the movement, a lot of these students are saying before they even graduate, they're $100,000 in debt. How can they live the American dream? Terry, what's your thoughts on it?
Exactly. How can they start off that much in debt? And a lot of people are getting married, too, and they have all this debt, and they're starting off, and you have no chance. When you're that much in deficit, it's really hard to get a good start in life. And that's what these kids are doing. They were told, I think, last year, or, a few years ago, go get an education and, get these student loans. And then you get out of college and there's not the jobs there.
Exactly.
Then they're working little jobs that they went to school for, not even using any of that knowledge or education. And then they get in that stuck in that rut, and hopefully they will be able to get into a field that they went to school for. But it's such a hard struggle to get there. When you're already, like you said, $100,000 in debt.
Exactly. And with that, and to me, and in closing on this segment, because we do want to move on, I feel that this is a game that's being played against us. It's basically like Monopoly. They're trying to herd us like sheep. They're trying to make us go and try to pay for these fantasy world dreams to get these degrees, when actually they know that 90% of the people that get the degree aren't going to be able to use it, and they're going to be working at Burger King. So, moving on, I do want to, I want to ask the ladies this, and I'm going to start with you, Sarah. And my question, point blank, is this. Why is it so hard for today's parents to discipline their kids? And I enforce that with this here. A woman sent out an email to a lady named Dear Susan. I don't know if she's supposed to be some popular woman who does, talk or help you with your kids. She says, my 12-year-old daughter has a bad habit of stealing money from us. She says it's because she doesn't have any, but all of her friends do. Okay? What can we do to teach her, to keep her from stealing from us? Okay, my thing is, you pop that butt. You discipline that child. You don't need a shrink to come in and tell you about insecurities, motivate your children, speak to your children. No, if your child steals, you pop that child. Don't you agree? And why are you all still trying to reason with children? As a parent, why do you guys do that? Go ahead, Sarah.
I'm not real sure that there's well,